Welcome to the Katie Wellness Show, where you get the tools, knowledge, and inspiration you need to transform your health and wellness, body, mind, and spirit. You'll learn holistic and practical wellness strategies that empower you to reclaim your health and fully step into your power. You belong here as you learn to tap into your intuition to support your body every step of the way. Let go of what's no longer serving you and teach these tools and strategies to your family to raise emotionally and physically resilient children. Welcome back to the Katie Wellness Show. I am your host, Lindsay Katie. I'm excited for today's episode. It is a little bit different from my typical tips and tricks and more of a thought-provoking discussion. This past weekend, I had an experience where my eyes were opened to how my life has become since I became a mother. Before I was a mom, I loved fun. And I know that that sounds really silly, but I feel like since becoming a mother, my sense of self-preservation, um, I had to be so much more responsible, which you do as a parent, and as a mother. And I I was noticing this past weekend how much of that fun and adventure and not scared of a challenge or not scared of doing something fun for fear that it might end up bad or I might get hurt or my kids get hurt. My eyes were just opened to this stark difference of how much motherhood can take if you allow it. And this is not a discussion about whether you should be a mom or not, but it is just a thought-provoking discussion on how has motherhood changed you in good and bad ways, and really reflect on your motherhood journey because everyone's journey is so different. Like I said before I had kids, my journey was I mean, I liked being in control. I liked knowing the plan. But I was definitely more open to changing the plan or open to adventure or open to just like, hey, you want to go do this thing? Okay, let's go. And since becoming a mother, um, with kids, especially for me anyway, I thrived on I guess not thrived, but my days were planned out by nap schedule and meal times and snack times and how are my kids going to be feeling at this time of day. A lot of my life has been, or like the last 12 years, has been uh, a lot more managing of schedules, managing of snacks, managing of meals, right? The mental load that we hear so much about, the managing of doctor's appointments and making sure all household supplies are stocked and the list goes on. And it can start to feel really draining and resentment can build toward your kids for requiring so much, toward your husband or partner who maybe you feel like is not sharing the load, that mental load. Not that they aren't participating or doing other things, but you feel like, man, this is not what I thought motherhood was going to be like. So this last weekend, I embraced adventure and I chose fun. Instead of doing what I thought I should do, I did what I wanted and I had fun. And this is this is just a thought-provoking shorter episode to ask you, how are you doing in your motherhood? Do you feel like you're drowning in the details? Do you feel like your routine is suffocating, or do you thrive with the routine that you currently have? And if you are thriving, that is amazing. Please share. Please share what you're doing that has helped you. Lately, I've noticed that I escape. I find ways to escape, whether it's to a book, not that reading is bad, but I am feeling overwhelmed with my life and not finding the fun and the enjoyment. And so I reach for a book to get lost in another world. Or I reach for my phone and social media or checking my email or doing those mind-numbing dopamine hit activities And I'm bringing this topic up not because I'm alone in this. I bring it up because I know I'm not alone. I was talking with one of my friends over the weekend who was with me doing these fun activities, and she also felt the same way. And I've talked to empty nesters who also feel the same way, like they got lost in motherhood or are now having to find their purpose or reinvent themselves or having a really difficult time figuring out who they are now that they aren't full-time mom, now that they don't have kids relying on them 100%. This past weekend was really just eye-opening to me that I want to be a fun mom. And right now I don't feel like I'm being that because I'm letting schedules and rules and overwhelm rule my motherhood. These types of experiences to me make me look at the the coping mechanisms that I have or the games that I play. And I see this now through the lens of emotional processing or through the lens of an emotional processing facilitator. So now I can look at these habits or these coping mechanisms and I can say, what is my end goal? Am I really getting that from these coping mechanisms? And what do I need to do? What do I need to change? Is it my thoughts that I need to change? Is it my habits? Is it my thought pattern? Is it my um what is it? What is it that needs to change? And I love how the more that I've done processing for myself and as I've facilitated for others, this has become more natural for me. So this is, I guess, just encouragement that if you do ask yourselves these questions, am I enjoying motherhood? Do I feel trapped? Am I building resentment for um, carrying the mental load, carrying more of the mental load than I feel like I should? If you look at those questions and you're able to answer them honestly, and you find that the ways that you are going through life are not how you really want to show up in your motherhood, in other relationships, um, know that there is a way to change it. Know that you can look at, okay, these are the ways that I'm coping. Is it working? Yes or no? What does it give me? What does it take? What do I have to give up in order to keep playing this game? And you can weigh your options. And if it's not really getting you what you want, chances are when you were little and you maybe formed some of these coping habits or had less experience in life and you formed these coping habits, you it did work. It did work to get your needs met, have a release, let go of some of the resentment, right? But as you continue further, you start to realize, like I did on this last weekend, I love motherhood. I love being a mom, but the ways that I found to cope are not who I want to be, not how I want to be remembered. Um, they also don't help me embrace being a fun mom. They don't help me embrace who I was before I became a mom. And I know that motherhood changes us, right? Our coping mechanisms will change because of that. And I'm so proud of the work that I've been able to do since I first became a mom. And my hormones were all over the place and I was mad. I was mad more of the time than not. And just like did not like who I was because of that, building resentment and feeling like I was carrying the mental load by myself and feeling very out of control, as one does when raising small humans who have their own agency, who have their own thoughts and beliefs and tendencies, and they have their own coping mechanisms. So I I have to look at, the progress that I have made and be so proud of myself. But also, what did I give up in that process of living my life by a checklist because I didn't want things to fall through the cracks? What did I have to give up by playing it safe so that my kids never get hurt? Guess what? Playing it safe doesn't prevent my kids from getting hurt. It's really not helping me get what I want. So instead of trying to white knuckle my way through life and control my kids and control the rules and control the schedule and control all this and be a fun sucker, my youngest has actually called me that to my face. Mom, you're the fun sucker. Thank you. Thank you for pointing that out. Kind of felt like a, stab in the heart a little bit, but I know that he's observing that I am kind of a fun sucker. I am a rule follower, and these are the rules, whether they make sense or not, but these are the rules that I have been decided on, or these are the rules that I grew up with. So that's the rules that we're going to have in our family. Those the way that I was showing up, I was a fun sucker. And it wasn't really preventing my kids from getting hurt. And so this is not to say like, oh, you can't control anything. You have kids, just give up. This is how can you uh, control yourself, right? How can you control how can I control? This is really a question for me. How can I control what's on the inside and what do I have control over? And for me, that was always like, oh, I control the schedule. I control the food that's in our house that's available for my kids. I control, like, there is a lot that I do control. Um, but again, I can't control everything. So instead of being a fun sucker, instead of always saying no, instead of um, doing things the way that they've always been done, I have to ask myself, is it working? The way that things have always been done, is it working? And for me, my eyes have been opened now. And I recognize that I need to make some changes um, to the way that I show up. So, all this to say, motherhood has its ups and downs. It is amazing. It's also really, really freaking hard. But there are still tools out there to help you. Also, I will say, um, moms with young kids, like, are you guys okay? Are you eating real food? Or are you just eating your kids' leftover chicken nuggets? Because that's another way that motherhood is going to suck the life out of you. And do you feel like your only escape is reading or scrolling? Or do you have things in your life that you do that truly bring you joy and happiness? And is there a way to bring your kids into that joy so they can find joy with you? One example I will give is I really like to watercolor paint. And at first, this was very messy for me and my kids, and I didn't really like it. But slowly, I found ways to enjoy it more with them. Age of my children did help. So as they grew up, it was a little bit easier. But also just having paints available for them that are easy to wash off and cheap, and like didn't really care if they mixed all the colors and made it an ugly gray or poop brown color. I found ways to protect their clothes and also letting go of control has been one of the greatest blessings and the greatest challenges of my life. So that's one way that I've brought my kids into things that bring me joy. Um, I also enjoy doing puzzles. They don't really find joy in that, so I welcome their help when they want to, but I don't force them and I don't require them. But I typically have a puzzle out that I'm working on, maybe at nights or spare time, which I don't really have a lot of spare time right now, um, because I have other goals in my life and a calling that takes a lot of my time through my church. And I'm homeschooling my kids and I'm running a business. And so there's not a lot of free time, but I still try to be mindful of creating time in my life where it's truly fulfilling and enjoying and downtime. And I'm learning that I don't have to be productive 100% of the time. That was also a killer of joy in my motherhood, was feeling like I had to be productive. I had to be doing something. That even playtime with my kids felt like non-productive time. That at least if we're going to play together, we have to be reading a book or we have to be something productive, quote unquote productive. And I'm learning that I'm reprogramming my brain. I'm reprogramming that belief. And I've done several emotional processing sessions on this, that I don't have to be productive 100% of the time in order to be a good mom or a good human or a good wife or fulfilled, that it's not about earning my worth. It's really about knowing that at my core, who I am worthy just as I am, just like you are. You are worthy just as you are. You deserve to thrive in your life and thrive in motherhood and be a fun mom. So, not that you really need it, but here's your permission. You have permission to be a fun mom. And it's going to look different for you than it looks for me. But I want to encourage you to just look at your life and find one or two things that you can do that bring joy and fulfillment into your life. And maybe one thing that you can let go of in your motherhood that is sucking the life out of you, that is making you cranky or angry or frustrated, so that you can really more fully enjoy your motherhood and enjoy your life and be who you truly are instead of the fun sucker. No one wants to be that. Anyway, this was a different episode from what I normally do, but I really just, it's been on my heart and on my mind a lot lately of, you know, who we are, who we are is worthy, and we don't have to earn that worth. And also we are worthy of joy in our lives. So this is my encouragement. Go out and find joy. Find joy in your motherhood. Find joy in letting go of controlling everything. Find space to breathe and know that you are worthy and that you are loved just as you are, and you don't have to earn that. I love you, and I will talk to you next week. I'm really excited for next week's episode. I have an interview. We are going to be talking about healing through Christ, and I will talk to you next week.